Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder aboard the Do 335B2, the German premium version with the 330mm that I will show you in two separate gameplays and that I will show you how you can use it. Now, today's focus lies on overall what the plane can do, and I want to specifically point out the maps and their issues for RRB for rank 3 and 4 in particular in my experience, seen from the perspective of a ground attacker, such as it is possible to do with the Do 335. So I actually have here loaded the HRAP rounds, so please forgive me. Initially I tried to use the air spawn and the great energy retention to go to altitude and maybe intercept a bomber or two and be a reasonable distraction for the enemy fighters. Nice lag right there, and that cost me probably the kill. But also the armor piercing or the HRAP hits did no damage. So no noticeable damage, and I didn't fire the 20mm. When I fired the 20mm, then you will see kind of the difference. So I leave the gameplay largely uncommented for the first match, and then in the second match we will see what the difference is. So let's have a look at various mini-maps and the layout of it and how it plays out with some very advanced editing. Yeah, some heavy editing. So the first minimap that I want to discuss is here of the Operation Al Alamein. Now, why this map? Well, first of all, I play on it, so you can see what I mean. Second, this map kind of represents quite a lot of RRB maps currently, which have this copy and paste ground unit layout for many maps, such as, for example, Poland and Normandy, to just name two of them. And it is very repetitive, very boring. While there are technically new maps, the gameplay is very dull. So here are the bombing points for the Germans. They already have been bombed in the picture that I have taken. And so let's see what the Germans do. So the German bombers try to go here, bomb those 3 bombing points, continue their way directly to the enemy main base, trying to bomb it. And because there are no further targets, such as those medium tanks, which get attacked by the ground attackers if the Germans bother to go after them. And then, unsurprisingly, the fighters go in this direction, trying to intercept the enemy bombers, which, let me just quickly switch color, go this direction, bomb here the 3 bombing points, try to continue. Their ground attackers go this direction, try to attack here the light pillbox line, and their fighters go here. So you already might see where this is ending up. This is the entire necessary space of the entire map, and this is like removing 8/9 of the entire bombing, the entire surface of the map area that is more or less irrelevant. And the gameplay is very repetitive, very predictable, it's very tightly spaced, so the ground attackers actually have no place to go, there is no terrain to effectively hide, and many maps are like this that you see very often in the map rotation. And that is just making the ground attackers and the bombers even more irrelevant than the overall gameplay mechanics themselves. Now let's have a look at a map that at first glance looks very similar, and that is the Operation Ruhr minimap, and it has found its reintroduction into War Thunder RRB for rank 4 and 3 and 4 recently, but it basically has never changed, and this is good. So our bombers go here and here and here, and some of them even try to go here for the tanks, because if you're very fast you can intercept before the deployment line has completely stretched out. And you also can go wide, and then the distance to the airfield isn't that far anymore from the bombing points, which is great. Now then there is the big surprise, because the German ground attackers can go also very wide, use the spotting mechanics, trying to go at low altitude, attack this pocket, and this pocket of ground units, moving tanks, and there is even at least one hidden pocket of enemy tanks that are irrelevant for the tickets, but they are still destructible and they still give points. So already you can see this is way stretched out. And then there is the biggest thing out of them all. There is a clockwise rotation of the fighters. The German fighters
climb here mostly this line. Yes, they try to intercept the enemy bombers that try to go this way and this way, but mostly the German left-hand route, if you will, is much more populated with bombers and fighters than is the Allied right flank, and the other way around. So the Allies very often attack with their ground attackers and also P-47 fighters, this pocket and this pocket here, while this pocket, despite being the closest, not being that attractive. And so, yeah, their fighters also go this way and then turn in, and the Germans turn in. So this is more or less the combat zone for the fighters. And there you can see it doesn't have a complete overlay with the ground units. Also, the ground attackers are much more difficult to spot over a forest or a field that is switching colors once you look over them, compared to, you know, plain sand. And I think this is great. Furthermore, there are the first hints of some AI units appearing after a while. Some pockets here, here, and here, and on the Allied side as well, roughly, very roughly here. And so you can join the enemy tickets in a long battle as well. So you can see the map is stretched out way more, and so we have just 2/3 of the map being more or less irrelevant. However, it is not the same magnitude of irrelevancy, if you will. So you have 2 to 3 times more the fighting space, in my opinion, and that is great. So it is by default a much better game map design. Now let's have a look at one of the greatest maps in War Thunder, arguably debatable because it is so unique. Let me explain you why. Because the map layout is like turned by 90 degrees. So the German bombers go all the way here to what I call the Flag Island, where all 3 bombing points are positioned, and the enemy aircraft carriers are also present, but they rarely get attacked. Then a big portion of the German players go here for expecting enemy ground attackers trying to defend either the patrol boats. Those are AI units trying to capture A, which is also a very interesting point, since the Allies, aside from here the aircraft carriers, have no other landing opportunity up until the point that A flips sides. And then obviously a lot of the Germans go also here to have a look at protecting the destroyer pockets, of which we have 3, and also trying to defend here the 3 bombing points with all the destroyers and the unique U-boat bunker, which you actually can destroy with a torpedo. How unique is that? How cool is that? How big of a different bombing point that is compared to all other bombing points in the game. And so you can expect the Allied bombers to go here. The enemy fighters go either this way to meet with the Germans head on, or some of them try to intercept here the German bombers, but that is not very often the case. And also some of them try to attack here the destroyer pockets and farm here the AI ground units. So this is already way stretched out, and Norway is a much bigger map that you can see here on the minimap. So even though we have a huge combat area, roughly like this, it is only 1/3 of the map. But that is okay, because in general it is so huge, and the spotting mechanics are already working in favor of some of the planes that are attacking. However, with the water, with the clouds, with spot the dot mechanics, this is still not that relevant. Versus an experienced player, you cannot really hide on this map, unlike on Ruhr, where it's much more possible. So that is already Norway. If you like it, if you hate it, is up to you, but seen from a ground attacker, it is great for the opportunity to go somewhere. The problem is, if you're specialized in anti-tank purposes, there is nothing for you to do on this map. So this is a big point of criticism for Norway. Yeah, some then try to go here for the bombing points, or try to bomb here some of the destroyers, or here the Germans with the 3 cruiser pockets. But overall it is not really the best map for ground attackers. But for bombers, they at least have a very decent chance of getting to drop their bombs and then make it all the way back, in theory. For the Allies, much more difficult than for the Germans, which here have the big advantage of having a default airfield. So now let's move on to some other maps. The next map that I want to present you is Operation Zhengzhou, and this is a very rare map to get with a German plane, at least in the prime hours. And so as you can see, I'm here with the Do 335, and I just want to go here directly with my ground attacker for this area where there are a lot of light pillboxes and other ground units are, and then you can just see the difference in easiness of farming them with the German 30mm versus the initial gameplay where I had some issues actually destroying some of the medium tanks where I had to come from the side. They were moving, the aim was difficult, so you can see here the difference. And yeah, that is quite a difference. Then the German or you know, mostly Japanese bombers have to go here or all the way around here to this, and then come from two sides in some sort of pincer maneuver to bomb the airfield if they have the bomb load in the first place. The Axis fighters also climb here directly over those ground units, whereas then funnily enough on the Russian side mostly they go here for those ground units. So they are not on the minimap, but they are there, and also try to go here with their bombers for those two bombing points, and also here for this one. So we also have a hugely spread out area, and then the fighters, they also try to escort them and then bump here into the other fighters. So yes, we have here a big overlay for the ground attackers from this side with their fighters, but then the bombers do not really directly meet each other, and this is also quite a difference. And also you can see quite a big portion of the map is relevant for the overall gameplay if you know what you're talking about, and let's say half the map is initially irrelevant except for some exceptional gameplay. But again, this is adding to the depth of the gameplay and not just making it very narrow, and so I had quite a good time on this map. The last minimap that I want to present you is Operation Husky, and that is kind of reskinning of Sicily. However, it's terrible. It's really terrible, and in theory very one-sided. So the Germans start here from the airfield and just climb here and here, and usually the Germans do not really pay too much attention to ground attackers because very often they are irrelevant. Also the bombers, well, they go here because there are no bombing points. Yes, sure, there are here the carriers and some bigger ships, but nothing really worth of dropping a big bomb, especially if you are loading up for or you choose a bomber that does better versus some of the bombing points and in base bombing, and then you have no base bomb. So this is a similar situation to a lot of the Pacific maps, which I do not discuss here, and that is just a big problem. Also those those landing ships, they are very resilient to gunfire, even 30mm, and if you don't specifically drop them with bombs or anything, they just go here, and it plays out very differently. So the other side, their heavy bombers also have nothing to do, so they go here where there is the specific lineup of light pillboxes, and especially ground units, AD4s, F4Us, especially those with the rocket pods. They just have a free strafing run and can inflict heavy damage, and then it's just a question of time. So this is one of the newer maps, and just look where, well, the fighting zone is. There. Again, a huge portion of the map completely irrelevant for the entire fight. And that is just terrible map design, rendering bombers completely irrelevant, making ground pounders potentially overpowered and ending the match if you don't react to them quickly, whereas then the other side has a lot of issues. But still, the actual combat zone is very confined, very small. So I don't think that this is very good map design. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this. So at the end, I think I have to explain to you, after you saw the Do 335 decimating enemy pillboxes and how easy it is compared to attacking AI tanks, what are the alternatives. First of all, on specifically the Al Alamein map, I would you know, just move a little bit the bombing points to make here a bit more room between them. Then scenario 1, we just simply can copy here the event here on this side, whereas Allied tanks attack German fortifications. German tanks can also attack Allied fortifications simultaneously, or one scenario after the other. Then I also think that we can implement here some heavy bunkers, for example German ones, that then shall here, with the help of some howitzers and some artillery positions flavored with some SPA or anti-aircraft batteries, also those tanks, and score some random hits, and some random ticket bleed happens. So it's all around more dynamic gameplay, distressing here the combat area, making it bigger. The third scenario I think is the most interesting one, and you can obviously change it a little bit depending on your personal preference. That, for example, we can do this also for the Allied side, but just to focus here on this side, German bombers spawn after 5 minutes and make their way slowly here to point 1, where they then bomb some of the portions here. So obviously in the good shape of the modular airfield, we can also make some modular bombing points, and obviously this can be supported by normal bombers, and also ground attackers then can decimate here some of the heavy anti-aircraft batteries, which are very efficient versus those AI bombers. So there is a lot of action going on, versus then some of the you know, ground attackers, making it easier. More bombers come through, it is easier to completely wipe out here the section. That costs then the allies a quarter of their total scoring points, or score points. And then the second wave comes after 15 minutes. There are more bombers, there are more anti-aircraft batteries, and then there are more positions to take out. So that would be pretty cool. And then after 25 minutes, the third wave, but with additional interceptors or fighters that try to intercept here and decimate here the German bombers. So those are AI units that all should take place at a roughly at an altitude of 4, 5, maybe even 6,000 meters. So planning ahead for the dynamic gameplay is important. Also, I want to make sure that this is not an auto-win mechanic, but you know, both tickets bleed a little bit, and after a while there are also then the vehicles appearing that you can take out, and then you can finish it off. So if somebody decides to run, there is still something for you to do. There is some action going on. You can help the AI units here, you can ignore them, you still can kill all the enemy players. I think it should be very well received for a test. Let me know in the comment section what your suggestions are, what your tips and tricks are, how would you modulate it. Let me know, your feedback is welcome. But also, if you think that this doesn't matter at all, let me know in the comment section, and I will actually give this video to Gaijin as some sort of feedback. Hopefully they will have a look at it. If not, well, then it was hopefully a very interesting for you to look at what is going on in my brain. And there are many more maps with many more scenarios that I could come up with, especially the Pacific Theater. But at the end, that's it for me today. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like if it is, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields, on the waves, and in the skies of War Thunder.